Hey there, YouTube! Welcome on back to Artichoke Dip. My name is Rob, solo tabletop gamer. And these are trying times we're in, I have to tell you. Yeah, kind of running out of things to do, you know what I'm saying? Going stir crazy. And I'm sure like a lot of you out there, found projects around the house to keep you busy, maybe work outside when the weather permits and it's nice and sunny. Or, I don't know, take apart your microwave oven, remove the Megatron, hook it up to, some simple wire nuts and an extension cord, melt the vinyl siding on your neighbor's house, and while keeping social distance, of course, explain to them that while they were fast asleep, there was an encounter from the third kind from outer space that had come down, and that distorted, melted blob on the side of their house that was once their siding was actually, well, the radiation from the hyperdrive exhaust vent on the craft. Yeah, social distancing is key on that one, if you try it. Just saying. So before I get totally into this video, I have to say, if you liked the video, please click the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button, followed by the bell icon. Every time I upload a new video, you'll get notified of it. So let's get right into the heart of this thing. We're locked up, we're all experiencing cabin fever, maybe some of the games that we're playing, they're kind of getting old, you're kind of looking for something new. And I know, sure as heck with me, I went through the same thing, and I kind of put something together here that I noticed has actually really helped, how do I put this, kill some time. I enjoy it, I'm having fun with it, and the cool thing is, a lot of you guys already have this stuff, so it's going to be relatively simple for you to do and throw together on the board. And I wanted to show you how I do that and do a demonstration later in the video. And of course that set that I'm using, most of you probably right here, is out of the Dungeons & Dragons series. Now this is a dungeon crawler tile, has miniatures and all that. That's why I was saying a lot of you guys out there already probably have minis. You may have tiles or some kind of tile system out of any game, doesn't matter, that you can utilize for this in the way that I do it. But before we get into this topic right here and really get into that, we need to get into something a little bit more important that we have to talk about. That is social distancing. This thing is real, guys. I mean, it's really, this is killing people. And social distancing is key. Now, sometimes you can do everything within your power, right? But, those other people out there, they don't get it. They don't believe it. So, Old Artichoke here has come up with a spell. Yes, a spell you can use in real life to help this. Now, what you're going to need is at least 2 or 3 hard-boiled eggs, a can of pork and beans, and, of course, a beer. Now, the beer is the magical component of all this. So you want to let it sit outside underneath a full moon and get a real nice skunkiness to it. Then what you want to do is you want to warm up the pork and beans and the 3 hard-boiled eggs, consuming all of these. And I'm going to explain to you how this is going to work. Now, the spell is going to have at least a 12-hour window before it's quite effective. But once it is, I think you'll like the results. So if you're having a problem to where maybe one of your neighbors or something is not getting that point of social distancing, this is what you can expect about 12 hours after consuming these items. What you will have is the spell, and I will pull the description right up here out of the player's handbook, of Stinking Cloud. Now most of you are going to be able to do this. It's a 3rd level conjuration. The casting time will take you 1 action. The range, 90 feet. And the components, well, you have it here. Rotten egg, skunk, cabbage, leaves, so on and so forth. But the real key to this whole thing in social distancing is its effect. Let's read the effect. You create a 20-foot radius sphere of yellow nauseating gas centered on a point within range. The cloud spreads around corners and its area is heavily obscured. The cloud lingers in the air for the duration. Each creature that is completely within the cloud at the start of its turn must make a Constitution saving throw. This is where it gets good, folks. You have to make a Constitution saving throw against poison, and if you don't on a failed save, the creature spends its action that turn retching and reeling. Creatures that don't need to breathe or are immune to poison automatically succeed on the saving throw. A moderate wind of at least 10 miles per hour disperses the cloud. And then after four rounds, it's gone, or a very strong wind of at least 20 miles per hour will disperse the cloud in one round. Now that's some information you can use in these times. It works. And trust me, that whole social distancing thing, yeah, people will get the point. They will disperse once that cloud comes out. I hope this helps. So let's get into, well, the gaming end of this thing. And let me see what I have set up here on the table and explain to you what I got going on, how I run it, and I'll explain to you guys too some of those gaming things you have around the house which you can use, well, to get this thing off the ground and rolling and have some fun with some minis and a little bit of RPG aspects to it. Alright guys, let's get to it. Alright guys, here we are. So, as I said before in the beginning of the video, this is the game set that I am using for this. And what I have done is I've kind of gotten bored playing these adventure scenarios that they give you in here. Not that they're not good or anything, they are, but you know, you play through them several times and then you kind of get, how do I put it, bored with it. You know what the outcome is, you know what you have to do, and you know, in a way it kind of, well, it's not fresh, it's not new, and that's what you want, something new out of what you already have that you can at that point throw together and get some enjoyment out of it. And that's what this video is about. So I'm not using this. This is garbage at this point. Not garbage literally, but for the sake of this demonstration. But just because you don't have this board game set doesn't mean you cannot do this. As a matter of fact, you can. So depending on which system you're using, as long as you got some minis, whether you're using 5th edition, whether you're using Palladium, you know, it doesn't really matter. Whatever game system it is you want to use, whatever you have the minis for, what I would do is go through, pick out your minis, and then go through your monster manual. Now, you're not going to copy every single thing down out of here. That's just, for the sake of this basically miniature skirmish game, you're just going to want to know the basics, being the armor class, how many hit points, the speed that they move around on the board, and if you're going to design this thing from the ground up, keeping it balanced is key. So any of their special attacks, like this guy right here, this Jackalware, he has 3 abilities that he can use: Supercharger, Keen Hearing and Smell, and then Pack Tactics. So what I would do personally for me is I would pick perhaps one of these key traits and use it for this game to keep it balanced. And I would do that with the rest of the encounters as well. But if you already have one of these game sets already, whether it's Castle Ravenloft or let me take a look here, The Legend of Drizzt, the Temple of Elemental Evil, or the Wrath of Asherland, you already have all the minis and the tiles and everything, and this will be pretty simple for you to throw together and get something going. But if you don't, and you're just simply using something like this, which are just going to be your basic dungeon tiles, or depending on the game system that you have, whether it be like Swords and Sorcery or Shadows of Brimstone, something like that, where you already have pre-made tiles, or Gloomhaven, there's another good one. You can at that point use these as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do for this, after you have figured out how many encounters types that you want in this skirmish, and another thing is the overall theme. Now, for this game system, it's pretty simple for me. It's Castle Ravenloft, so the theme has already been done, and pretty much the layout. So that part's good. I'm good right there. And I decided to put together this stack of tiles, and these are all the coffins. Every single tile in here, not every single tile, but what I had done is gone through and taken every single tile that had a coffin on it and put it in this stack to make the crypts. Now, I also took 3 T intersection tiles, 4 straight corridor tiles, and then I believe it was 3 crossed or corridor, cross corridor, or intersecting tiles, however you want to look at them. Put those in there as well, along with 4 main like open areas that would be like this, just a wide open area with connecting areas on both sides. Put them together and shuffle them up. One other thing I did as well was, in this set you get a tile that has a stairway, and this makes it real interesting. I played through this a couple of times and I kind of had fun with it, because in this particular game system you can get an environment encounter put on that particular map that will either decrease your speed, decrease your attacks, give you penalties and bonuses, penalties, not bonuses. And when you go to another level of your dungeon, that encounter, that environment encounter, stays on that particular map of the first level and doesn't carry over to the second level because you're on a different level. So it breaks things up, and it's kind of cool too. I just had fun with it, putting it in there and using it. It seems to enhance the game a little bit, and it's cool to see how the dungeon maps unfold. It really is, and you'd be surprised at some of these, how close it is to, if you remember the old grid paper days and drawing dungeons, how a lot of them really mimic that pretty closely, and I was pretty happy with it. So anyways, that's how I made my stack of tiles. So when you go to make your stack, think of the overall theme. Is it crypts? Is it a castle? Is it, you know, just your straight up dungeon? Are they ancient ruins? If they are, the next question you have to ask with your encounters is magic prohibited? Are there magic using encounters within your dungeon? Well, it happens with mine, the way that I did it with my encounters, there are. I put in 3 basically real bad encounters. So there's a possibility that my guys can run across here, and I'll show you what those are, and I'll explain why I did that. So sorry, I thought I had these already pulled out. So the first encounter that they will come across is this guy right here. It's a Howling Hag, and it is absolutely awful, and it takes all of my adventures to take this thing down. And you have to pull on all your resources, which is good because it gives you that little bit of challenge. Now, the other thing that I had put in there is a Flesh Golem as well. This is another large encounter that's in there. Same thing, 10 hit points, and he can do a lot of damage. So they have to pull on all their resources to be able to defeat this thing. The third encounter I'm trying to find his card at this moment. I think I had already pulled it out and set it somewhere, but is a kobold sorcerer. So of course, there's magic in here. This is set in the realm of Ravenloft. Of course, there's magic. Magic's everywhere. The whole entire plane of existence is governed by a lich, which, if you know what a lich is a magic user that has given himself up to become an undead and continue his studies as a magic user, if you will, but they're undead and they become a lich and just keep going on forever and ever and ever working on their craft, becoming more and more powerful, which is just horrible. Here he is right here, which will be the third one. This guy, he's not that bad. He's only got 6 hit points. But compared to a lot of the encounters in this system, they have 1, and your stronger encounters have 2 hit points. So this does make him, you know, a little bit more powerful and something to be chewed. So I put these 3 random encounters in this right here. These are tiles that came with the game. And the funny thing is, when you go through the rule book, they show you these, but they don't really explain much more other than that, and it's left up to you to kind of figure out what they're for. So these tiles, as you draw them, will tell you 1 monster, 2 monsters, or no monsters, depending. Some of these tiles in here have like 0 monsters, and some of the 3 of the tiles in here will be for one of the 3 large encounters, I meant to say. So what I do is I have a tile equal to the amount of dungeon tiles that I'm going to use. So there's 25 dungeon tiles, and I have 25 of these tiles. Now, if you're not familiar with this particular game setup, and if you're just using regular dungeon tiles, at that point you could come up with a system for yourself, and I'm going to explain it to you. If you're familiar with it, you already know this. If not, I'm going to show you how this AI works with this particular game system and how you can use it. So when you look at a tile, this black arrow tells you that there's an encounter. You have to draw an encounter, whether it be an encounter card or possibly a trap. This little insignia right here, which that means is this is where a monster will spawn on this tile if there is a monster. And then of course the skull at that point, what this is telling you is that this is part of the Castle Ravenloft game set. So cool little thing though, you got the little skull there. Alright, so if you were just using plain tiles and you didn't have these particular tiles, you could use a 6-sided die, and perhaps on even numbers 2, 4, 6, you would have a monster. 1, 3, 5, you would have an encounter, and you could go from there. You could make a randomized chart as to how to spawn the encounter. So you know how to basically do that. I mean, randomized chart. Basically, you pull it on out, and if you got 10 encounters you decide to put in your game, well, number them 1 through 10, roll your 10-sided die, and figure out your encounter. You could also figure out if you don't have tiles like this, like what I'm doing right here. Make yourself a little randomized chart. 1 monster spawns, 2 monster spawn, no monster spawn, or perhaps a trap, or what have you. Just you want something in there for that AI to make this extremely unpredictable. And rather than playing by one of the scenario rules where as the character advances in here, a monster spawns, you don't know. It could be 1 monster, it could be 3 monsters, it could be no monsters, or it could be just one of these horrible, horrible larger encounters coming in. Alright, so I think you got the base gist of that. Now, of course, when it comes down to cards, in this, they give you the monster cards already. But if you're going to use your own system using the monster manual, whatever you're using, you're probably going to have this on a piece of paper, numbered, and at that point you could either bookmark the encounter in the manual, or just write down, like I said, the cliff notes of what you need to know, which is going to be the basic armor class, how many hit points it takes to kill it, the speed, and give it a, you know, some kind of ability. And let's go over how they use these in this game system so you understand. So let's take a look at the spider. The spider, it's a vermin, it's tactics. If the spider is adjacent to a hero, it attacks that hero with a venomous bite. So it gives that to you right there. And the bonus is +6. It does 2 damage to your hero. If the spider is within 1 tile of a hero, it attacks the closest hero with an acid web. So you can see right here, that's its specialty. That's its specialty range attack. Otherwise it just bites, and its web is a +11. It does 1 point of damage, and then at that point it can slow your character's movement because they're caught in the web, right? But as you can see, it tells you what the particular encounter does, but it's pretty simple. Its AC is a 15, it has 1 hit point to kill it, and then at that point, what they use in this game system is they give you this right here, which you can either take or leave. It's completely up to you. And that's experience points. When I get into the game, I'll explain to you why that's there, but right now that's not that important to know. But just to show you how simple the encounters need to be. They don't need to be that complicated. Very simple. Just need to know its AC, how many points it takes to kill it, and what's its special ability. Does it have a range shot? Does it move towards the hero? So on and so forth. So those are little, at that point, AIs that you can put into your game yourself and tweak and use in order to make the game more interesting for you, whether you want a more complicated game, more tactical game, or you know, you just want to play maybe like old school, you know, one-on-one monster to character. That's completely up to you. Okay, so characters, same thing. You're gonna in this game system, they use treasure cards, which at that point give your characters a little bit more of an edge, I should say, by whether it be healing spells or it be particular items that enhance their ability to hit the target or damage the target. Overall, you're just getting little bundles of goodies to help you kill monsters even more efficiently. It's the, you know, best way I'm going to put it to you. So, as I said, in this game system, everything it's pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. If you own one of these systems, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, this will be a good way to see how it works, and once we get things rolling, you'll understand. By the time I get done doing a couple of turns, you'll understand it. So I have chosen 4 characters that I use in mine. And right here, as you can see, it's very simple. It tells you its special ability. So of course, like, you know, they're your characters. You're going to want to give them some special ability that they can fall back on to, well, help them, because sometimes they're going to be overwhelmed. And the way that I'm showing you how to play this, there's going to be times to where your resources are going to be thin, and you're going to have to, at that point, really use the characters to their best ability to get through some of these encounters. But all in all, very simple. AC, hit points, speed, and then with this particular game system, it has a surge value, which I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to get into the basics of this, so you guys that don't have these systems out there, but you do have tiles and minis and all that, you can throw something together pretty quick and make it work for you. So the first thing that I do, if you notice here, I got different colored dice sets. And for most role players, let's face it, we collect dice, and we have lots of dice. So what I did is, looking at my hit point value, instead of using them tokens that just get all over the place and fall on the floor and get lost and everything else, I use dice to track my hit points, which is a very easy way to do it. The nice thing is I took a D8, because all of my characters have 8 hit points, out of a dice set with the corresponding color of the D20. So what I do is I play this in a series of rounds: movement, exploration, battle, and then at that point it's the enemy phase, and then it goes back to my initiative phase. So I think I've talked your ear off a little bit, giving you a little bit of information as to what's going on. Let's do a turn so you can see how I actually do this. And, well, maybe this will work for you, maybe it won't. You know, maybe this will help get you through some of the, you know, the downtime that we have right now, and keep your mind occupied to where, you know, we don't have to watch the depressing stuff on television. Alright, so let me get all my stuff. I moved it for the camera, and I'm just going to get it all back arranged to where I have it. Reset all my hit points as to where they need to be. There we go. And one other thing. Swap a die out real quick. Now another thing I do is I keep a spare 10-sider, this color, and then a different color 20-sided on the table for encounters. So, and I'm going to show you here why I do this, because this makes things so much more simple than, as I put before, as I talk about in my videos, visual representation is key in organization to having a good game. Alright. So, first thing I do is I'm going to take these 4 dice. They all correspond to the color on each one of my characters. I'm going to roll them. Alright, so I'm going to put these on the character sheet, and character sheets or cards, or whatever you want to call them, so I can keep track of who's moving where. And the first one is going to be Kat, and she is a human rogue. Kat spelled K-A-T. And I have some cards here which I had already picked for her. But this round, to be honest with you, I'm not going to encounter any monsters. So these cards that I have set aside at that point are going to come into play a little bit later on. But what I need to know right now is her speed is a 6. So starting here on the tile, counting the squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I take that die and I put it there. And then at this point, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, for this round I'm going to put it there. And that turn's done. There's no enemies, no nothing like that at this point. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is going to be Thorgrim. And Thorgrim is a dwarf cleric. And he has a speed of 5. So he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go diagonal. 5. Moving right there. Okay, so that's going to be his turn. The next one is going to be Alyssa, who is the human ranger. She has a speed of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go 6. And then the very last one that I have is Emerald. And he is the Eladrian wizard. And he has a speed of 6 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what the heck? Let's spice things up a little bit. I'm going to go 6. So he ended his turn here in his movement, and at that point it's time to draw a tile and see what's over there. Strahd's Crypt. So in this game system, you notice these arrows. If you had a white arrow, that means there's no encounter, so I don't have to worry about that. But I do have a coffin, so I'm going to put a coffin token here, and I don't know what's underneath this token. We're going to find out. And I have this pile of bones, which means there's a possibility there is a monster. So let's turn to the dark side and shuffle things up and see what we get. Right there, one monster. So there is one monster, and after I pull this out of the cup, I discard this. And at that point, let's see what monster we get. We have an undead wraith. Ooh, that sounds fun, doesn't it? This guy right here, an undead wraith. Alright. Well, because it's his last turn, that was the end of his movement phase, I'm going to use my dice and I'm going to go back through the attack phase, and anybody that has a ranged attack or could possibly attack is going to resolve that, and then it's going to be the encounter's turn. I'm going to start with my wizard first. He's the closest, and, well, he just finished, and the encounter is closest to him. So I have an item which is an amulet of protection I could put on, but I already have, I guess I should have told you this towards the beginning of the game. I limit all my characters to one item equipped at a time. That way it keeps everything balanced. So right now he has a Ring of Accuracy equipped, which gives him a +1 bonus to all attack rolls, which I think is a little bit better than to the AC. But on my turn, I can equip that at any time, so as a free action. So I think what I'm going to do is perhaps use this item, which is the Holy Symbol of Ravenkind, and choose one undead monster on your tile. Well, I can't use that. He's not on my tile. As you see, he's on this tile. So it looks like I'm going to have to stick with the good old magic missile. And I get a +8 to that, so let's see how this goes. Rolled a 3, an 11, and he has an AC of 15. Nope, my magic missile did not do nothing. So now, I have my human rogue, and he does have a snipe shot, and I can attack one monster within one tile. The only problem is, here's my rogue, and, well, this thing is out of my line of sight. I can't shoot through him, and I can only shoot diagonally, so that puts this guy, well, can't really do anything. So let me see what I can do with my ranger. Well, I have Twin Shot, which attack 2 monsters within one tile of you, but the only problem is I'm running into the same dilemma. Looking at where he can actually fire, well, can't do a whole lot, so let me look at my cleric and see if there's anything that he can do. Flame Strike. Choose a tile within 2 tiles of you, attack each monster on that tile. Well, it looks like I'm going to be using my daily power, and we're going to go with that because this guy does have 2 hit points. So let's see if we can take him out. Alright. Well, here goes nothing. He gets a +6. So that's a 15. Hits right on. I have done, actually, this is 3 points of damage, but it only takes 2 to kill him. The Wraith is off the board. Now, on the bottom of these cards, as I said I would explain later, is experience. So every time one of these tiles is laid that has an encounter, I can spend 5 experience and not draw an encounter card. So that's good, and not only that, when you hold on to these guys, what winds up happening is when you do draw monsters, they don't come back because they're in the discard pile. But when you cash in your experience at that point, they go back into the active monster deck card pile, which means, well, there's more nasty encounters to deal with. But for the sake of this Wraith is now dead. He is, at this point, suspended out of the game, which is good. Now, because my cleric did dispatch that Wraith, he gets to take a treasure card. Now, when you do your game system, you can figure out however you would like to do the treasure. The cool thing about your DM guides and stuff like that is they have random tables in the back with magical treasures and items, and you don't need to have the whole entire paragraph of everything that particular item does. You just need the bonus. If it gives you a bonus to movement or to attack, to defend, whatever, and you could at that point add that to your character if you wanted to after an encounter is destroyed. However you see fit, however you want to work that particular system out. If you don't have one of these game systems already, you're only limited to your imagination how you want to put it in there. And, well, let's see what I get here. So this is a blessing, and it says, until the end of your next hero phase, each hero gains a +2 to bonus to attack rolls. Now this is a blessing. I can play this immediately, which means the good thing about this is I can hold on to this, and if I see trouble up ahead at that point, well, I can play this immediately. And that's good, because with this particular card that is a daily power, as you can see right here, it says flip this card over after you use the power, meaning I can't use this power anymore. It's out of the game until I get a blessing or a particular item that'll allow me to flip that card back and put it back into my hand. So at that point, this card is out of the game. Now, to be realistic with you, at this point in the game, I wouldn't have played that card. I would have probably waited another round and tried to duke it out with the Wraith before I used it. But for the demonstration of this video, what the heck? And it worked out well. Alright, so no enemies left, and I'm going to take all my 20s, and I'm going to roll my initiative again to see who moves where. Okay, so, and I like doing this. This is very, very cool because it really does help break everything up. If you just lay the cards out for your characters and play them in a turn sequence, you'll find over time that you'll favor one or two particular miniatures for their particular bonuses or talents that they have, and you kind of rely on them after a while a little bit too much, whereas this kind of splits things up. You move the minis around the board, and then when the characters, not the characters, but the encounters at that point come onto your grid here, or your dungeon tiles, however you want to look at it, it changes everything. Everything becomes a little bit more interesting, and you have a tendency to, like I said, at that point, you have to strategize a little bit, and gives you a chance to use your particular characters maybe in a way that you never thought about before. But anyways, so let's move on. The first one with the highest initiative is going to be my ranger this turn, which will be this one. He has a movement of 6, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to say 4, but because of the coffin I entered that area, that coffin has to be resolved. Ooh, treasure. Draw 1 treasure card, so let's see what I get. Now, that coffin tile is off. I'm going to put that back in the stack on the bottom, because I got a feeling the next coffin tile is not going to be so nice. And let's see what he gets. Lucky find. Play this fortune immediately. Draw 3 treasure cards and keep 1. Discard the others. Wow, that is a lucky find. So I'm going to draw 3. So I have Holy Water. Choose an undead monster within a tile of you. It takes 1 damage. That's good to have. Distant Sounds. Look at the top 3 cards of the monster deck and put them back on the top of the deck in any order. That's, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then, of course, I got Burst of Speed. Your hero can move his or her speed. I'm thinking I'm going to keep that one. Even though these two are pretty interesting, this will give me, you know, basically a freebie 1 point of damage against an undead. This one will allow me to arrange the monster deck how I want it. This one right here, if I have used up all my speed and perhaps at that point, just like what I ran into before toward the line of sight issue, I can play this card and at that point take my movement and move my character for better line of sight. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold on to that for my character, and let's reveal another tile. Let's see how much further into the crypt we go. Oh boy. So we got 2 coffins that have to be dealt with. Alright, and my speed, because I was right here and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I will end there. But the first thing is, I don't have enough experience to buy this encounter off. So I have 2 options here. These are traps, and then of course I have the normal encounter cards. So using my D6, I'm going to say all the odd numbers, I draw one of these. Even numbers, I draw an encounter card. Let's see what happened. Well, it's an even, so draw an encounter card and let's see what happens. Environment, Bat Swarm. If there is an environment card already in play, discard it. Well, there isn't. This environment card remains in play until a new environment card is drawn. This is why I put the stairs in for these particular things right here. Whenever a hero attacks a monster that is not on his or her tile, that hero makes the attack roll twice and uses the lower result. That's going to hurt my ranged options, but I'm going to put that right here just as a reminder. Well, until I find that staircase, pretty much, yeah, things are going to not work too well with the ranged attacks. So, let's see what I have. Oh, right here, 2 monsters. So you can see I got 2 coffins, 2 monsters. You can see how I say when I do this, the way that I set it up, it's, you know, the first round was kind of misleading as to how easy it was to kill that guy off. Now it's going to get real, and things are... Oh, another wraith and a wolf. So put the wolf here, put the wraith here, and I'm going to resolve the coffins. Might as well. So the first one, trap. The active hero takes 1 damage. Ugh. So, walked into a trap. I'm going to take a point of damage for that. And I'm hoping that other coffin is a little bit more forgiving. Let's see. Treasure. Draw 1 treasure card. Hey, so it's not all that bad. So I suffered a point, but I get a treasure card out of the deal before I get killed. Hey, nothing wrong with that. And let's see what treasure card I get. Lucky Charm. Use this item after any die roll and re-roll 1 die. I got a feeling I'm going to be using that. Okay, so that ended his movement phase. So now I have all my other characters to move before the attack phase and get everything kind of set up the way I want depending on how the initiative runs. So the second one's going to be my magic user, and he has a speed of 6, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I think that's as far as I'm going to get my magic user. I know with the bat environment, you know, I'm going to basically have to roll twice and take the lower roll, but you know what? I don't want to risk putting my magic user up here into this mess right now, so I'm going to leave him there and line my attack up with him. This is where I say you kind of stretch your resources kind of thin at this point. Because now that I've resolved these coffins, these are just, I'm going to treat these as normal tiles now at this point. So I can move more of my characters in there, but I really don't want to block his line of sight from the magic missile, because that's just not going to work too well. So the next one in my initiative order is going to be Thorgrim and Cat. Cat being my rogue and Thorgrim my cleric. They both have 4. Well, let's face it. Rogues tend to have a higher dexterity than clerics. So I'm going to go with her first. And she's got a speed of 6. But let me see what she has to offer. I think I'm going to use my snipe shot. Attack one monster within 1 tile of you. That's 1. Yeah, I'm going to use the snipe shot. All the other cards, I feel as if I use them right now, I'll just be wasting them for later on in the game. So, 1, 2, 3... and he'll at this point have a line of sight on the Wraith. So now I just got the Cleric, and the Cleric has a speed of 5. Let's see what the Cleric has to offer here. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do, because I only have a speed of 5, so that's going to put me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right to here. And I think I'm going to move up next to him. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to cast Guided Strikes, and until the end of your next hero phase, each hero gains a +2 to attack rolls. So I'm going to put that there as a reminder. And then at this point, I'm going to go into my battle phase, and let's see how things work out. So top of the batting order is going to go to the Ranger, and I'm going to try a melee attack on the Wraith. And I'm going to use this one called Hit and Run. Attack one adjacent monster, hit or miss. You can place your hero on any square of your tile. So that will work out to my advantage. So let's see how this works out. So I got a 16. The Wraith has a 15 armor class. So with my magic sword, that puts me at a 16 plus this, a 17, 18. Well more than what I need. I do a point of damage to the Wraith. I'm going to mark that right there because it's got 2 HP. And then using its ability, I can move 1 square. I'm going to move 1 square back, and this will completely open up the line of sight for this guy, but I'm not next to the Wraith either, so that's good because it's not dead, it's just wounded. Okay, so the next one in initiative order will be Emerald the Wizard, and I think I'm just going to use a magic missile on the Wraith. The Wraith is by far the worst enemy on the board. The fact that it can deal out 3 points of damage at a time. So getting rid of that thing before its phase even begins, I think is the best strategy here. So this is pretty good. I got a +2 for this bonus, but it is a magic missile, so it is a ranged. So this is how it's going to go. At this point I got a +10 bonus. I just got to take the lowest of the 2 rolls. So the first roll is a 4, second roll is a 9. So I got to take the 4, which is going to put me to a 14. And I also have this ring of accuracy right here equipped to my wizard, which gives me a +1, which will take me up to 15. So despite the low roll, I still do a point, and at that point this wraith is gone off the board. Draw a treasure card for my wizard, and glimpse of the future. Look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck and put them back on the top of the deck in any order. Oh, that's pretty cool. So wraith is dead. One more wraith out of the deck that's not wandering around. The good thing is now I'm up to 6 experience. I can buy off another encounter, which is good. Now, next one in initiative order is going to be my rogue. My rogue is going to use a sniped shot at the wolf. And so I got a +7 and a +2, which is going to give me a 9 overall, taking the lowest roll. So first roll is a 19, second roll is an 11. I'll take the 11. His AC is a 14. I mean, I don't even have to use that. I've already hit him. I've done 1 point of damage. The wolf has 1 point. The wolf is off the board. And I get a treasure card. Breath of Life. Play this fortune immediately. Your hero regains 1 hit point. Well, that's always good to have in a bind. Alright, now this is resolved, and this goes to the discard pile. Which brings us to round 3. And as you can see, I'm going to go and roll my initiative die to see how everybody moves again. Alright. I had 16 there. Okay. So here I got the dilemma. The ranger and the cleric both have a 16. I'm going to take the turn with the ranger because he's going to have the higher dexterity. Or I could go with the cleric. It really doesn't matter. I mean, however you want to do it. But for me, I'm just going to use my ranger. And I think at this point, now that these coffins or crypts, however you want to put them, have been resolved, this can open up and I can go this way or I can go that way. I think I'm going to just keep going straight forward to see what happens. So 1, 2, 3, and draw another tile card and lay the tile card. Boom. So now I'm presented with a decision here. So I got my 1, 2, 3. I could still move him, but before I do, I could either discard one of these Wraith cards and put it back in the monster deck and buy off this encounter, or hold on to the experience and face the encounter to see what it's going to do. Either way, if I buy it off, I'm just putting another Wraith back into the monster deck that's going to come up later, and I'll have to deal with it again later. So let me see. I think for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to cash in a Wraith, and I'm going to put him back into the monster deck, at the bottom of the deck, of course, and buy that encounter off, so I don't have to worry about that encounter. But there is a monster, maybe. So let's see what we get. Okay, a Kobold Sorcerer. Oh boy. This ought to be fun. And here is this vile little thing right here. I haven't painted him up yet. So I guess eventually maybe I'll get to it, but I'm happy with the way it is. So boom, I have a Kobold Sorcerer. So let's go over what the Kobold Sorcerer can do. So Clack activates at the start of each villain phase. If Clack is on a tile with an unexplored edge, draw a tile from the bottom of the dungeon tile stack and place it adjacent to the unexplored edge. The active hero places a new monster on that tile. That's horrible. So every turn, he gets to just spawn more monsters. If Clack is on a tile with the hero, he attacks each hero on the tile with a burst of fire. That doesn't sound good. If Clack is on a tile with a monster, activate that monster. Otherwise, Clack teleports. Place him on the closest tile with an unexplored edge. Oh, nice. Nice. So basically what they're saying is he gets to spawn even more monsters. If there's a monster on his tile, he gets to order that monster to attack you, but he can also teleport to other tiles as well and just keep teleporting away from you on the board, spawning more monsters to command and to attack you. Ooh, okay. So I think I'm going to finish his movement, which he started here. He moved back, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to try to... he's got 6 hit points, so there's no way I'm going to kill him. He's going to just spread lots of devastation before this is over with. I can already foresee it. Alright, the next one will be my cleric. He has a movement of 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put him there. And then at that point, it'll be my rogue. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to move my rogue here and try to stay diagonal. I don't want to get too close to that thing. And sorcerer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that way, boom. Okay, I think that's the way we're going to do it. And this will be the first round for their attack. So let's see how this all plays out. So the first one I'm going to take my turn with is going to be my ranger. And I'm going to use hit and run. Attack one adjacent monster, hit or miss. You can place your hero on any square on your tile, which I'm thinking that's going to be a good thing. So let's see how this goes. Now, nice thing is it's a melee attack, so I don't have to worry about the whole reroll. Okay, 18. Well, his AC is a 14, so I don't even have to add the bonus, and I'm going to do 2 points of damage to him, which is good, which is going to knock him down to 4 points. And then I'm going to move him up over here, away from him. Now, my next one will be the cleric. What can Thorgrim do? Can't move him. Save that. Okay, so everything I have here is a melee attack, so there's really not a whole lot I can do with Thorgrim. So I'm just going to throw his dice into the pool to be re-rolled, and that'll end his turn. I now have the rogue. He's got the snipe shot, which, let's see how this goes. +7 bonus. Got to take the lowest of the 2 rolls. First roll is an 11. Second roll is a 9. I'll be taking the 9. So, well, it's not bad. That's pretty good if you think about it. That's going to give me a 16. And for the kobold has a 14 AC. So I'm going to do another point of damage, which is going to take it down to 3. Alright. And then last turn will be my sorcerer, which this should be a no-brainer. I'm going to hold on to some of these cards because I know there's more horrible things in this monster deck than this kobold. And I think I'm just going to use the magic missile. And because it is ranged, of course, you know, take the lowest of the 2 rolls. So the first roll is a 17. Second roll is a 7. I'll be taking the 7. So 10, 13, 14, 15. And I will be plinking it for another point, which is going to leave it for 2 hit points. Alright, so what does the kobold do? Well, lays a tile, teleports, and at that point, there's an encounter that'll have to be dealt with as well. So I'm going to roll right now and see if it's a trap or a card. Even, it's a card, so I'm going to put that here. This will have to be dealt with in a little bit. There's also a coffin. It's going to have to be dealt with, and of course, monsters spawn that are under his control. And yeah, this is, oh my god, this just went from bad to worse. So you remember how I explained to you how I set this up? Is I put some real bad guys in here and to make it a little bit more of a challenge. So yeah, here's the bad guy. It's a flesh golem. Let's just see what kind of awfulness he's going to unleash, because I got a feeling this is going to be bad. So, the Flesh Golem activates at the start of each villain phase. Of course he does. If the Flesh Golem is adjacent to a hero, it attacks adjacent hero with a Brutal Slam, which is a +8 to his attack and does 2 points of damage. If the Flesh Golem is on a start tile, the active hero takes 1 damage. Of course. Otherwise, the Flesh Golem moves 1 tile in the dungeon, in the direction, of its tile's triangle. Okay. So, yeah, this is horrible. And as you can see, I tried to protect my sorcerer here, but it looks like his luck has just ran out. And he is a behemoth. And I'm going to have to get another 10-sider because this guy, I'm just going to mark that with him, that I know he's got 2 hit points left. And I'm going to put another 10-sider on there for that Flesh Golem of a different color so I know who's who. And unfortunately, this guy's going to move forward, and he's going to attack my wizard. And I don't think this is going to end well. Well, he rolls a 7 +8, which is going to give him a 15. And the AC for my wizard is a 15. So my wizard is going to take 2 points of damage and place the hero 1 tile deeper into the dungeon. 1 tile deeper. So the Flesh Golem has smacked him literally over to here. So now I'm going to draw another tile, which places him here. which is another encounter, so I might as well roll to see if that's a trap or if it's an even. It's another card, and these encounters are going to have to be dealt with as well at the end of the enemy phase, which is going to be horrible. And of course there is more monsters. Oh my god. You want to talk about just horrible luck? So I put 3 just horrible monsters in here. And the third one just came up, which is the Howling Hag. This just is like, it's... yeah. So there's the Howling Hag, and let's see what the Howling Hag does. So the Howling Hag, the tactics are, if the hag is within 1 tile of 2 or more heroes, she attacks each hero with 1 tile of her with a horrifying howl. The howl has a +7 and does 1 damage. And place the hero 1 tile away from his or her tile. That's horrible. If the hag is on a tile with a hero, she attacks that hero with a teleporting curse. Curse is a +7, does 1 point of damage, and place the hero on a random crypt corner tile. Otherwise, the hag moves 1 tile towards the closest hero. Okay, and I gotta get another 10-sider because it takes 10 points to kill her. So I think my luck has ran out on this particular scenario because I am like completely outgunned at this point. Yeah. But anyways, I have to resolve the hag, and if the hag is on a tile with a hero, she attacks that hero with a teleporting curse. So the first thing she gets is a curse attack on my wizard again. 18. Yeah, I'm not fighting that. I'm going to take another point of damage, which is now going to take my wizard down to 5 hit points. Was at 8, now it's at 5, and I have nothing to place the hero on a random tile corner. Okay, so this is how I'm going to do this from where she's at. I'm going to roll a d6. So on a roll of 1 or 6, she's going to teleport my sorcerer back to this tile. On a roll of 2, 3, 4, or 5, we'll say on a roll of 2 or 3, she's going to teleport my sorcerer here. And on a roll of in a roll of 4 or 5, she will teleport my sorcerer here. So this is just going to make things a little bit more horrid. A 1. Whew. Boom. Right up here in the corner. Unfortunately, it puts him right back in basically the firing range of the flesh golem. Okay, so that was the enemy's phase. This enemy went, that enemy, that enemy. Now, right back to the initiative phase. Ooh. Okay, so I have 19, 5, 13, and a 9. Okay, so the 19, which will be my ranger, and I'm trying to think of Oh my god. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I mean, pretty much at this point, this Kobold Sorcerer is untouchable. I'm going to have to take out this Hag or the Flesh Golem before I even get to that Sorcerer. So, I'm thinking maybe to divide and conquer at this point. The Hag does look like the less of two evils. But the one thing I can admit, the Hag does less damage than the Golem, but the fact that she can just keep teleporting people around the board along with him is just going to expand this thing out rapidly and probably kill me quite quickly. So yeah, I'm going to take my Ranger 1, 2, move him there. Oh, not yet. 1, 2. I got to deal with these encounter cards now. I forgot about those. So first one, teleport glyph. Place the active hero and each monster on his or her tile on the tile farthest from the active hero. Place the active hero. Okay. So the last one to go in the last round would have been my rogue. And that would have been the active hero at that time. So place the active hero and each monster on his or her tile on the tile farthest from the active hero. So there's no monsters, but so farthest, the only way I can really go would be this way. And of course there is another. So everybody's going to vamoose here. But I have this other encounter that I have to deal with, plus this other encounter that has just come up. Or I can pay off the encounter, which I think I'm going to do. So I'm going to put another Wraith back into the monster deck. I'm going to buy off this encounter right here. And at that point, spider webs. Attack the active hero. Nice. So that'll be on the rogue because he was the last one to take his turn. And well, no, that's not going to work. Yeah, his AC is a 14. Luckily, that did not work out. Rolled an 8, and a 12 does not cut the mustard. So, whew. All right. All the encounters are resolved. So now at this point, oh my gosh, I have to deal. So let me move this down because I've just realized you guys can't see what's going on here. So all my guys were moved up here. I bought off this encounter because there's this black arrow here. But the problem is there's a monster spawn point here. And things are going to get really ugly really fast. So, one monster. And what is that monster that spawns in the middle? An undead skeleton. Which is going to go right here. Ay, 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 ay. So now, well, by the looks of things, it looks like my plans have just changed. I'm going to have to attack him. So, as well as my wizard really can't move because of the skeleton right there, so his attack will be used up as well. And that leaves these two guys to try to pull something together here. So I think how I'm gonna roll with this is I'm gonna use my human rogue because I'm gonna move the rogue here, cat the rogue, and use my snipe shot on actually, you know what I'm going to use? I'm going to cash in this. And this is a sneak attack. Use this power at the start of your hero phase. You gain a +4 bonus to attack rolls and deal +1 damage until the end of your next hero phase. So I'm going to burn up that and use my snipe shot, which is going to give me a +10, and I'll do 2 points of damage to the Howling Hag. So let's see how my plan will play out. I got him into place, and the last one to go before the battle all starts will be my cleric. I'm going to move my cleric up 1 space, and my cleric at this point I'm going to use my healing strike. So once I hit the skeleton, I can heal one of my characters here 1 hit point, and I'll heal my sorcerer at that point. Alrighty, and then after that it is the enemy's turn, and let's see how this all plays out, and let's see how it all goes. So the first one to attack will be my ranger, who has move your speed. Well, I could do that. Let's see how this plays out. This one's called Hit and Run. Attack one adjacent monster. Hit or miss, you can place your hero on any square on your tile. So this all might all work out. Maybe she won't get the hit point, but you know, at this point I got to do something. So alright, let's get this underway. Rolls a 7. That'll be a 13. The skeleton has an AC of 16. So I clearly missed, but I can move on any square, so I'm going to move him here. Alright, that's the ranger's turn, down. The next one will be the magic user. I'm going to use Thunder Wave, and you create a wave of sonic power that lashes your enemies. So it's not really a ranged attack like a missile, which is good, so I don't have to re-roll over and over again. I'll just be able to use that one attack, and let's see how this works out for him. So they get a +7 to that attack. I've rolled a 9. That's going to be a 16. The skeleton's AC is a 16. It does 1 point of damage and destroys that skeleton. So the skeleton is in the graveyard, and the nice thing is I get a treasure card out of that. We get some experience. I get a crystal ball. Use this item during your hero phase instead of attacking. Reveal the top card of any card deck or the top tile of any tile stack. That, yeah, that's going to come in handy. Okay. Now, let's see how this all plays out, because really the only lost turn I'm going to have is my cleric this turn. And let me see if there's anything I can do with my cleric. I'm going to cash in this item, which is the icon of Ravenloft, and it's going to be discarded. So each hero regains 2 hit points, or one hero regains all of his or her hit points. So I'm going to discard this, and that's going to go to the discard pile. My magic user will heal up to full health. That'll be the cleric's turn. Now it'll be my rogue's turn. And with the rogue, I'm going to use a snipe shot. I get a +10 bonus, so I got to take the lowest roll. First roll is a 15. Second roll is a 12, so that's going to be 22. The AC of that Howling Hag is a 15. That's a hit. I do 2 points of damage to the Howling Hag. That worked out well, I have to say. So one of my plans actually worked out. Okay, now it's the monsters phase. And of course, I'm going to go with him first. What's the thing that he does? He just keeps expanding the map and bringing more monsters. So he's going to teleport himself over here to this corner. There's 2 coffins. And at that point, I have a monster that spawns in as well under his control. Yeah, that's horrible. And it's going to be 1 monster that spawns in. Another wolf. Alright, so let's see what the wolf does. So if the wolf is adjacent to a hero, it attacks that hero with a bite. If the wolf is within 2 tiles of a hero, it moves adjacent to the closest hero and attacks that hero with a pounce. So, 2 tiles. 1, 2. He's going to get attacked with a pounce. Boom. The pounce is a +7. Rolled a 19. There's no point even adding the bonus at that point. My rogue takes a point of damage and has a condition marker on it, which is slowed. So I'll get that out and explain it to you. So this condition marker, slowed, your speed is 2. Discard this condition at the end of your hero phase. So essentially for my next turn, I can only move 2 spaces. That really sucks. Now it's the Flesh Golem's turn. And if the Flesh Golem is adjacent to a hero, it attacks him with a Brutal Slam. If the Flesh Golem is on otherwise, the Flesh Golem moves 1 tile in the direction of its basically target. Who's going to be the target? He moves here, and he's going to do a slam attack, and he gets a +8 to that. Rolls an 18. I don't even have to add the bonus. So the rogue takes another 2 points of damage. Let's take it down to 6. And places the hero 1 tile deeper into the dungeon. So 1 tile. Ouch. Well, considering I'm in a corner right here, that would knock my hero through the wall here. That's just rude and crude. So I have been knocked here. There's a coffin there is a monster and there is an encounter. And of course, because I've been knocked through there, I don't have the option to buy it off. So I will deal with the... Oh, let me take that back. Let me see if it was a trap or an encounter. Roll a 2. Yep, it's a card. There's a coffin as well. Item. You find the wooden stake. Take this item. Okay, so I know what that is. That's a condition marker for a specific scenario, which I'm not playing. I'm going to draw another coffin, and that is monster. Play 1 new monster on this tile. So on top of whatever I draw out of that cup, it's going to have 1 more monster on top of it. Okay, so let's see how this is going to work out. Luckily, it's 1 monster. So, but I'm going to draw 2 monster cards, and 2 are going to spawn, and it's a wraith and a zombie. Oh man, I am so lucky. I mean, what would I do without wraiths and zombies and flesh golems and howling hags and little jackass kobold sorcerers that just keep opening up the dungeon and creating more madness for me to deal with? Okay, yeah, so now it's the Howling Hag's turn. And the Howling Hag, if the Howling Hag is within 1 tile of 2 or more heroes, okay, 1 tile, so 1 tile, no hero, 1 tile, a hero. She attacks each hero within 1 tile with her horrifying howl. So, what does the horrifying howl do? Does 1 point of damage and place the hero 1 tile away from his or her tile. Great. Moves this guy further into the dungeon. Okay, so +7. She rolls a 20, and there's no way of getting around that. I take another point of damage, which takes my ranger down to a 5, and he is thrown even deeper into the dungeon. And here, which, let me roll, see if a trap was activated or an encounter card. 2, counter card. Alright, and there was a coffin in there. The coffin, luckily, is empty, so I don't have to worry about that. Thank God. That could have been bad. But let's see what kind of monster is in there, because there is a monster spawn point. 2 monsters. Well, there's a gargoyle and a kobold skirmisher that also come into play. So, boom, and boom. Okay, well, I think it's at this point in the game, you can tell I am completely overrun, and my ranger is going to die. There's no 2 ways about it. He is just outnumbered, outgunned, and done. Yeah, I think for the demonstration of this video, we're just going to say heroes 0, monsters 1. And the monsters have ruled the crypt and killed the adventurers, and I'll have to start over. But anyways, guys, that's going to conclude the video. You know, I hope this little demonstration helped you guys out. You can see how I did this and how, you know, I took a pre-existing game system, just changed a few things around and made it essentially, you know, not a new game, but add some more flavor into it and made it more challenging to burn up some time and to, you know, kind of give you a little bit more bang for your buck, particularly if you have one of these sitting on your shelf and you play through all the scenarios and you're kind of bored with it, and you know you want to pull it down and maybe do some miniature skirmish. Now, role-playing aspect in this, if you wanted to, you could use this particular setup just the way that I'm using it with the tiles and the monsters, and you could roll up your characters and run your characters through it, you know, based on whatever the theme is. Obviously, my theme here is a crypt, and, you know, I think that was pretty much apparent by all the coffins that you see around, and so, you know, use your imagination a little bit, and even if you're just using regular old tiles like this set right here that you see me use before, you know, you could design a dungeon. You could separate your tiles at that point by geometric design, you know what I'm saying? Like this kind of represents a triangle, and you got, you know, a quarter of a circle or a radius here, however you want to look at it, and you got your squares and you got your rectangles. You could form a stack like that, and as you pull them out and put them together, it'll create that for you. Just don't forget to put in your stairway to give yourself a second level to the dungeon, particularly if you're using a set like this and you get these environmental cards that can really, really screw you. You know, if two things in this scenario really kind of screwed me over. One was the fact that I had this environment card that at that point really screwed me over on my ranged attacks. And I was not expecting to have the three major villains that I had put in there come in bam, 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 one after another. It would have been way more manageable to defeat them one at a time. But the fact that they came out the way that they did, I mean, they're just spreading mayhem and have overran the board. So, you know, hey, it's, how do I put this? Well, fun. And you can see what I mean by, you know, it really, really makes you look at your characters, use your resources, kind of the thing that I like about playing this way, particularly in the last round, I had it set up with the intention, by the way that I had the dice and I had the initiative, that I would use the cleric to kill the skeleton, and then at that point heal the magic user 1 point, but it didn't work out that way because it was at that point that he was taken out, and so then I was left with a decision. I didn't want my sorcerer to die, so I cast the one healing spell that I had to regain the hit points. But now, looking at it, that was kind of, well, a bad idea, because now my ranger's off over here in Timbuktu, just surrounded by enemies, and, well, it's probably not going to make it out of there alive. And, yeah, anyways. So, guys, I think I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button, followed by the bell icon. And every time I upload a new video, you will get a notification telling me that I did so. Alright guys, this is Artichoke Dip. I'm signing off, and I think I'm going to reset the board and line myself up for some more punishment. Okay, talk to you later guys. Stay safe. Don't forget the social distancing spell, very important. And, you know, above all, keep smiling, stay happy, and play more games. Talk to you later.